In this video, we are going to take a look at a few more basic tools in Premiere. So let's begin by creating another new project, and we'll call this X1 for exercise 1, and save it in the same folder. Okay, so again, we'll begin by importing, right-click in this window here, importing some videos, and I'll import all my videos again, and I suggest that you do the same, so import at least 4 videos, and we use this for our class exercise. Okay, so you don't need to submit this exercise to me, but rather just follow along, because this will teach you how to use the basic tools in our panel, and also how to apply effects and transitions, and also create some text in your video if you follow along. All right, so let's begin by going to new item here. If you don't see this down here, you can always go right click and go new item. Okay, and let's go to sequence and go OK with the default settings. Now let's go and insert one video track into your layer. So it could be anyone. We'll keep the existing settings. There we go. So I want to zoom into this timeline here. So to zoom in, you can go to the bottom here and see the circle right here. Okay, so click on it and drag towards your left. You can see that zooms in. So your video didn't get longer. Okay, you can see that it's still at about 16 seconds, okay? You can see 16 seconds up here. So it didn't get longer, but you're just zooming in and out of the time frame. Sorry, the timeline. All right, so here the timeline is more condensed. If I go all the way there, or I can zoom in and kind of spread that out a bit. So especially if I want something to be happening every second or so, then I really want to zoom in there, right? Okay, so that's up to you how far you want to zoom in, but down here is where you would move it around to zoom in and out. All right, so the first tool I haven't talked about yet in the previous video, now take a look at that now, is this one here, which is your selection tool. Your selection tool selects whatever it is that you click on. And if you select and hover over it, you'll see the name of that video, and you'll see the start, where it starts in the sequence, which is at 0, and where it ends, which is at 16.27, okay? And the duration of it is 16.28 seconds, okay? So it starts here at 0, so it starts at the very beginning. All right, so in the previous video, I showed you how you can trim this. So this video is quite long, right? So I would actually like to trim it. So to trim it, I can click on it and drag my scrubber to where I want to trim it, okay? So maybe I just want the coffee beans to spill in. And right after that, I want it to cut. So I'm going to move my scrubber exactly to where I want to cut. And I go to my razor blade, my razor tool, and I cut there. Okay, and that cuts it in 2. I'm going to go over here to my selection tool, click on the other portion of it, and just click delete. All right, so that's one way to cut that. All right, so next I'm going to go to my coffee cup here, and I'm going to grab it over here, okay? And so from here to here, it kind of transitions right away into this coffee cup. Now I would like to shorten that as well, okay? So I'm going to click on it and use the razor blade and cut it somewhere here. Again, go over to my selection tool, click on the second part of it, delete. So you can do that with your video. You can cut them and place them next to each other. All right, now I would like to add a transition. So from here to the next scene, I want to have a transition. So I'm gonna, first of all, go grab another video. So maybe it'll be this one here. Okay, so from here to here, I like to add a transition. So I'm gonna click on the Mix It Cup here, and then I am going to go to Effects up here and click on it. Okay, so Effects and click on this here. And here I have, this shows up in my workspace, the effects panel. So I'm going to expand the video transitions. And there's many different transitions. There's 3D motion, dissolve, immersive video, iris, page peel, slide, wipe, zoom. So I'm going to choose slide. You can experiment with each one of these, and you don't need to watch me do it. I would let you, I would just go about and explore it on my own. Okay. So please, I highly urge you to go through each one of them and see what it does. All right, so here I'm just going to show you the slide. Okay, so I'm going to click on here and do the slide here. Oh, sorry. So let me undo that, edit, undo. So I'm going to click on slide here, and then I'm going to bring it over here to my, there we go. And you can see that slides over now. Okay. So actually it is actually applied to the next clip instead of the cup one. Okay. There we go. Again, so let's kind of view it from the beginning. Here I have the coffee beans. It goes into the coffee cup, and then it will slide into that. Okay, so I kind of want this to also be shorter, so I'm going to stop it. I'll cut it right here. Okay, bring this over here, cut it here, and delete the rest. Okay, so another thing I like to do is I like to blur this. Okay, but only at the end. All right, so I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to, there we go, collapse that or hide all those, and then go to video effects, and I'm going to look for a blur. Again, there's many different effects that you can play with. I highly, encourage you to go and play with each one of them. See what effects there are available to you. So for me, I'm just going to use the camera blur, and I'm going to drag it onto this coffee powder video, but this is all blurred. I just want it to blur out. I just want to blur after a while, so after a few seconds. Okay, so that's not quite what I want. So what I need to do then is to go over here to % blur, and I'm going to bring my scrubber to the very beginning of it. And the next step is very important. I would like you to go up here to editing, and please click on editing and click over here. Okay, and here something just popped up. This is called this is actually your timeline for just this video. And why this one is so important is because you can enter keyframes in here. Now the keyframe is important because it's where things can change. So if you remember your animation project, you had to have keyframes where something happens in each keyframe. So at 0, so over here I am in the Mix It Coffee, but I'm here. You have this cross where I'm not allowed to add any keyframes there. And the reason is because there's already a transition happening here. So I guess you can add a keyframe here, but it's just letting you know that there's a transition happening here. So I'm going to go to here, create a keyframe. Okay, so when I click on this, it adds a keyframe. You can't quite see it, but there's a little triangle here. Okay, there's a triangle here that begins, and I'm going to make the blur 0 there. Okay, so I go to here. First, I add the keyframe by clicking on the stopwatch.